The tightening pattern we've been seeing in the presidential race continues tonight. We'll give you a national snapshot and then look at some of the swing states likely to decide the race. Hillary Clinton continues to lead, but by a margin less than 3 points in the Real Clear Politics national polling average and only 2.1 points in a four-way race. In the swing states, it is a similar story, according to a new Quinnipiac swing state poll. In Florida, for example, the two-way race continues to be extremely tight, 47 all. That race has been in the margin of error for a month. In Ohio, it is Trump who leads Clinton by 1 point, 46 to 45. That also is well within the margin of error. A month ago, Quinnipiac had Clinton leading by 4. In Pennsylvania, it's a 5-point race with Clinton ahead. A month ago, she led by 10. And last night, we took you to North Carolina, where Quinnipiac has Clinton leading by 4. However, there's a brand new Suffolk University poll that tells a different story. In that poll, Donald Trump leads by 3 points, 44 to Clinton's 41. That result is also, of course, within the poll's margin of error, so the race could be said to be pretty much a tie there. In moments, we'll check in on reporters, with reporters covering those races in Ohio and Pennsylvania. But for some analysis, we start with Scott Jennings, who did political analysis as an aide to President George W. Bush. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So when you look at these numbers, what strikes you?
Well, what strikes me is that Hillary Clinton has spent a crushing amount of money in these states, and yet money can't buy you love. I mean, she's in a tied race in almost all of them. Coming out of Labor Day, Donald Trump's not dead. He's got a pulse. He's very much alive, and she's not done much to put this thing away.
Now, does that say to you that we're sort of in a new era in which, because of social media and other factors, money spent on television advertising doesn't matter as much as it used to, or does it tell you something more about the candidates?
Well, I think it tells us something about Hillary Clinton. She's the most known quantity in this race, and one of the most known quantities to ever run for president. And you can spend and spend and spend, but if you're not moving and you're going down after all the spending, it ought to tell you something about the fact that the nation may not want to do this, and they're looking for another door out of this box.
Well, on that point, much of the gains that we see for Donald Trump seem really to be her dropping, not his rising so much, which is not to say he hasn't gained some ground. But so the question arises, is her advertising at least holding him down, in your judgment?
I think it's holding him down a little bit, but I think his bigger issue is among Republicans. He's not consolidated the full Republican Party yet. He's beating her among independents in several of these states, so it's not really hurting him among independents. If he could get the full complement of the Republican Party on board in any of these swing states, you know, a poll looks a lot different. The path to 270 plus for him runs through these states you mentioned. If he holds the Romney coalition and he wins Florida, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, he's there. Really, getting to 90 plus among Republicans is a key to that.
So he's at about, I mean, I guess the last polling number I saw on Republicans had him at about, what, 83, something like that, which is up from what it was, but it isn't up all that much. What in your judgment, does he need to do to seal it with Republicans still reluctant to support him?
It strikes me that the last remaining Republican holdouts just want to know if we elect a Republican president, if it springs forth from the GOP, that it's something they can be proud of. And the way you do that is through visualization. And so going to Louisiana, going to Mexico, doing the speech in Detroit, these allow people to visualize you as a president of the United States. And so the more he can do that, the better off he'll be among the last bit of Republicans. If I were Hillary Clinton, I'd be worried heading into the first debate if he starts to move among the Republican Party.
Well, what about that first debate? You know, there's been a lot of talk about it, and we saw a little taste of what the two candidates might look like under such questioning last night, although that was a forum, not a debate. What does he need to do, in your judgment, and what does she need to do to prevail in that first contest?
Well, I think humility would do a lot for Hillary Clinton. One of the problems she has with this email issue is everybody knows it was a big mistake. Everybody knows it was a huge lapse in judgment. And she can't seem to get past the technical talk to just show a little humility. I made a mistake. This was bad judgment.
She said that.
But
to be fair, she said that.
But last night she was talking about, well, the headers of the emails. As someone said earlier on the show, I don't think that registers for people. I think
it's also not true.
Yeah, right. But I think humility, saying I learned from this, I'll never do it again, would make a big difference for her. But she doesn't seem to quite get there.
Scott, thanks very much.
Yes, sir.